A path through the goo. This is the second objective in the Flying Dutchman's graveyard. To obtain the spatula inside of the cage, you must first close the tanker's hatch with the cruise bubble, which will lower the goo in the whole level. Then, you must pay this clam 2,700 shiny objects to open the chest with a button inside. Pressing this button opens the cage and starts a time challenge. The only way to reach the cage in time is to use this sponge ball. The sponge ball can be hard to control, and there are obstacles that block the way. Making any sort of mistake can knock you back to normal, becoming too slow to win. When cruise boosting was discovered in 2014, the sponge ball was no longer needed to complete the time challenge, since you could simply run to the cage with your increased speed. You could even use this shipwreck as a shortcut across the path. Although cruise boosting saves time over using the sponge ball, this spatula was not used in any percent. The claim you need to pay is too expensive and would require a lot of grinding for shiny objects. Years later, in 2018, an explosion of new discoveries rocked Battle for Bikini Bottom. The goo cage was among one of the many spatulas affected. On June 23rd, speedrunner Alex97 posted in the BFBB Discord that he had discovered a speedrun viable way to clip inside of the cage. By standing below this ledge, you can launch a bubble bowl into the air, have it land on you next to the cage, and use that displacement to clip right inside. This clip is extremely precise though, requiring you to press 2 buttons on the same frame, on a specific frame, in a specific position.
Oh fuck!
The discovery of Goo Cage Clip, commonly known as GCC, set a major reroute for any percent in motion. The new route allowed the sea needle to be removed from the start of the run, which ended up saving around 2 minutes. Shift, the world record holder, spent weeks practicing GCC, slowly becoming better at the trick. But GCC quickly became notorious for being a deadly run killer. Dozens and dozens of record-paced runs have ended right here, and that was the case for a very long time. Only a few brave runners dare to put GCC into their runs, thanks to its sheer difficulty.
My fucking god.
But thankfully, things did end up changing for the better. 6 months after the discovery of GCC, a new strategy was found called lag clipping. This was quickly applied to many objectives in the game, and the cage was one of them. By activating a slow cruise boost, falling onto the cage, and mashing L and pause, you can lag into the cage from the top. Goo Cage Lag Clip, or GCLC, was not consistent when it was discovered. It was thought to be only possible on Xbox 360, which was slower than the original Xbox thanks to loading screens.
Oh! Oh! I did it! Yes! I told you!
But as lag clips became further understood, GCLC was made possible to perform on the OG Xbox. GCLC obsoleted the infamous run killer, and many runners used it in their speedruns. And the best part about it is that it even saves a few seconds over the old method. Lag clips were a staple in Battle for Bikini Bottom speedruns for over 2 years, shortly after their discovery at the end of 2018. But when it was discovered that purposely damaging your disc makes lag easier, things needed to change. In March of 2021, the moderators of BFBB allowed loading the game onto the Xbox's hard drive, rather than playing off the disc. Since there's no way to control how worn down a disc is, the decision was made to eliminate differences in loading times across different Xboxes, and to discourage runners from purposely damaging their discs. Hard drive saved minutes thanks to faster loading screens, but lag clips were made impossible as a side effect. As for GCLC, it was dead. This means the original run killer was back with a vengeance. Most runners had to revert all the way back to the cruise boosting method. Thanks to skee ball abuse, it was viable to pay the clam without worrying about grinding for shinies. For a few months, top level runs were being destroyed by GCC, just like the good old days. That is until I received a message from an old friend while I was at work. Hydro told me that he had discovered a new method for getting the spatula inside the cage, and that it was very easy. While I was busy giving hungry customers their food, I kept a close eye on my Discord for the video that he promised to send me. Later that day, he sent me this. By tossing a bowl onto the cage and quickly running underneath, you can perform a bash when the bowl lands on your head. Your bash is halted in place, and your hitbox sinks just low enough to barely touch the spatula inside. When I came home from work, I immediately tried it for myself. It was indeed very easy, just as Hydro had told me. The run killer was finally dead. The community was in disbelief at how simple this new method was. Many people quickly added the new strategy to their runs. Goo Cage Bash, or GCB, is the current strategy used in runs to this day. The Goo Cage went from being the graveyard of runs to an easier trick, back to a run killer, and back to an easy trick again. Thanks to those who thought outside the box, we can now force ourselves inside of this one. I hope you all enjoyed this history video. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to hit like and subscribe to support my channel and catch videos in the future. My name is JBHJ, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.